From New York and on the new Hot 97 app, Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning. Laura Styles, we got Biggs on the show in St. John. What's going on? Biggs is back in the management game.
Oh, man.
I didn't expect this.
Me neither.
So before we talk we've been supporting this brother here from Brooklyn, New York for a minute. We've been on I heard you got too lit last night. And we was playing McDonald's Rich. But you, sir, decided to participate in managing St. John. Why?
Incredible talent and an incredible person. That's where it started. We built a genuine relationship. You know what I'm saying?
You're gonna make me
How
cry.
did you guys find each
Make me
other?
cry.
Actually, Tata played me his album.
Okay.
We was in we went to have some drinks one day, and I couldn't stop listening to it.
Tata's got an amazing ear, man.
Yeah.
He knows how to find them.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't listen to music in the house at all. I do now, but I caught myself listening to it over and over and over again, and it was Fashion Week. Listening to it in the car, listening to it in the house, and Simone, who works with me too, we just couldn't, put the album down. And then I ended up running into him at the Pierre Morse fashion show, and he introduced himself, and he was like, St. John. I was like, St. John, get the cameras. This is St. John, Simone, St. John, which I never do, neither.
Yeah, he was hyped.
So she was shocked, and he gave me his number. And then after that, I started working for him, and he didn't know.
Yeah.
You remember that,
Yeah,
right?
you was on promo.
Yeah.
I think I saw you and was like, yo, man, Biggs won't stop talking about you. But he didn't know that we was already
Right, we was
supporting you.
I'm
yeah,
like,
man.
Ebro, I need this record. He was like, what do you mean? You manager? I was like, no. So what do you mean? I'm like, fam, he's from Brooklyn. He's from New York. It's an incredible album. I think
Yeah.
it needs to be amplified.
Yeah, listen. So wait, who are you, man? Like, why were you at
Where
the
did you
Pierre
come
Moss
from?
show? And because I just got put onto your music.
Right.
You have the same booking agent as I think like Post Malone already,
Yeah.
right? Shout to Cheryl.
Shout out to
And
Cheryl.
yeah, who the fuck are you? Like, all I knew was I saw you in a fur coat with a bunch of chicks standing around you in the projects with Supreme on. I was like, yo, this dude, where's the hell? It's Brooklyn.
Yeah. So
That was all I
tell us
knew.
a little bit about yourself.
I'll walk you through it. I'll slow walk
Okay.
you. It's funny because the first time you see, I'm as I am. I come like this, but I've been doing this quietly when no one was looking, which is the best possible way to do it. I'm from Brooklyn. I started in songwriting, so I came into music through the back door. Right? You songwriting, you're just like the help in the room. You're the guy with the champagne, and you got the whatever they hold the champagne on.
So would you wrote songs on something that we would know?
Yeah, I wrote songs for Usher, Jordana Kaiser,
Oh, wow.
Nico and Vince.
Okay,
Like,
but
I
how
was
did you
probably
get there
writing
though?
records.
Because there's a lot of people who write for passion projects, but how did you get connected to these huge artists?
I was putting out. I wasn't connected to them. My songs were finding them in ways that I just didn't know that I couldn't. I didn't have those resources. So I'm a kid from Brooklyn. I'm making music. I'm putting out projects, right? I was
On
just
the
putting
internet?
out- yeah. I was putting
Okay.
out records. So I was putting out records, and then I wrote a song for a friend of mine. Like I wrote a chorus for him, and it changed everything for me. That simple. It didn't happen overnight.
Of course.
Like you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
2-3 years.
It was way more. I spent a half a decade working on the blueprint. I say that in a song of mine, and I really mean it because it takes a concentrated amount of time just to look at what you're trying to do and explore wherever you're trying to go. And I did that. I needed to know where I was trying to go and the path to get there, right? Nothing happens accidentally. This mint green Montclair coating accident. I knew this was sexy. I deserved it, right?
But now you can relate to this, Biggs, because you and Hove and Dame, right? You
Yeah.
guys similar, right? Like you
Definitely
guys.
no one
How old
gave
were
us
you
a-
when you met Hove and Dame, and now like
well, Dame I met when I was about 14.
right?
And
Harlem.
Jay, in Harlem. And Jay probably around 18, so about 4 years later.
But Reasonable Doubt didn't drop until
4 years after that. So 18, I met Jay, and then dropped him about when I was 21, 22.
and so you know about that, and the reason I bring that up is you know firsthand about that, how long that takes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I just actually posted something about Jay speaking on that, how he had to, before I met him, was selling songs to record stores, going and collecting $100, going back, printing up more, going, dropping them off, and nobody wanted to sign him. So it was a hardship, but it was something that we learned from, and it actually gave us more grit. It made us go harder. and appreciate everything.
Well, I was going to say, would you say that now, right, with all of your success, ups and good and bad, peaks and valleys, right? Would you say that the headline in all of it is when you take your time, there's just more equity there and there's just more
definitely
understanding?
If we would have signed, it would have been a different deal. So it made us take things in our own hand and then become independent. So we was forced to be independent.
And are you independent as an artist?
I have a partnership.
And so how does that work?
I mean, it's a 50-50
With who?
with Hitco.
Hitco. That's L.A. Reid.
Yeah.
And so you write, do whatever you're going to do. They help you get it out the door.
Well, yeah. I mean, we create the music. We create the idea of what we're trying to do. And then when it's time to mobilize, we go have a conversation. The aim is to scale it, to get it, on the radio, to get it through speakers.
Exposed to people.
Yeah.
And Circle of Success is your management company.
Yeah.
And do you have any? Is he the first artist coming out of that management company?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Oh, so you're ready. You're ready to just keep going.
Yeah, and I mean, doors is everyone's calling right now. I mean, Jay, Benny Pugh, a few people, Ty, been asking me for quite a while to do something, and it's tons of artists. I mean, it's gonna grow really fast.
Now, I'm gonna ask you, and then we'll come back to you, Biggs. But what would you say his strength is for? Because everybody may assume we understand what it was that was, you were the magic, some of the magic behind the whole, Rockefeller movement, and we'll get back to that. But what would you say his magic is as a businessman?
Life chess. He understands real life chess, how the pieces move on the board in real time. You can see it. It's interesting just watching him work, because he'll come to the studio to watch me work. And, it's exciting to watch me work for him. That's the process. When I get to watch him work, I'm like, oh, fam, I see what you did there. That was brilliant. Because he can see the room in a way that I just can't see the room. And when I say the room, I'm talking about the landscape of whatever we're trying to do, what our objective is. So we're trying to get from, A to Z. We want to get this record and make it as big as possible, or we want to create a certain degree of momentum. He sees it in an interesting way that I've never seen someone see.
And would you say that that's your strength also?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't look at what I do as a strength or a weakness. It's just an innate thing that that's a part of me, and I just make things happen, and I'm relentless about that.
As far as like making contacts, finding the opportunity.
I mean, there's no.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If a door's shut, I create my own.
Right. And that's always been your philosophy?
Always, yeah.
So you also the relationship early on with Rockefeller, right? Like you helped create the opportunities through financing and creating the business opportunity for the early Rockefeller days.
Yeah, early Rockefeller days was Jay, Dame, and myself collectively coming together to make decisions on everything.
And you were kind of the quiet guy behind the scenes, as everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't vocal about it, but those guys knew. We came together and we would sit down, talk about marketing, records, videos, everything from lifestyle, point of view.
More recently,
and also new business ventures.
Now, more recently, you had to go deal with a personal incident, right? Yeah. And you've now been back and doing business. What's it been, 4 or 5 years now?
Going on 4.
Going on 4?
Yeah.
When you got back and you said, I think you started a denim company. You relaunched the Rockefeller. Was it not Rock 96? Was I think the
So not relaunch. Rock 96 was a new brand.
Got it.
Is a new brand. That launched in Barney's and Luis Villaroma and Revolve, and then I did the Rockefeller Air Force One with Nike, and now movies, music, and a lot of other stuff in between as well.
And so we talked once here. And I asked you about partnering with Jay and working with Jay, and you were like, we already did that. We're doing other things now. Can you articulate that a little bit better for the audience? Like, how does the relationship with you and Jay work now?
I mean, it's just a brotherhood still. Yeah. We don't do any business together, but we just support each other. If he's doing something, for example, I might post something about Tidal that makes sense, but if it's something that speaks to me, he doesn't ask me to do anything and vice versa. So I might go to him, like I'll go and play St. John records. I told him, I said, look, If I was playing basketball and I knew Jordan, I'm gonna ask if my form is correct.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
said, look, I'm getting back. I need to know what I'm doing is correct. So I went and played him these songs. I played him about 15 songs, and he went crazy.
Yeah.
He was like, yo, you didn't play me one whack song. Like, this dude is gonna be out of here. His voice is amazing. Once he catches on, that's it. And then when they met, he actually told him, he's like, look, you could sleep real good at night right now. You know, actually at the brunch.
Yeah, was that your first time meeting Jay-Z at the Rock Nation brunch?
No, we had dinner at his birthday.
Yeah, my
dinner.
birthday. My
Birthday
surprise
dinner.
birthday dinner that Puff actually messed up.
Puff,
Thanks,
Puff ruined the surprise.
Yo, Puff, good looking.
What conversation you and Jay have?
We talked about energy after that. Because I was like, yo, you know, I'm in this room. First of all, I said, thank you for having me here. I'm in this room, and I imagine this, like my words got me here. Not because I wrote songs, because I spoke it into existence. I said it over and over and over and held a picture in my mind. He said, yeah, I've been doing that my whole life.
Manifesting.
Yeah. We spring things to the universe.
More recently, speaking of Dame, he apologized to you. I don't know what the apology was for, but I didn't know that
To
there
be
was.
honest.
But do you guys speak? Is there?
I seen him, I want to say, about a month and a half ago in Mr. Childs for a guy's birthday. And we seen each other there, and that was the last time I seen him. Before that, we spoke probably 2 or 3 weeks prior to that. So it's not as often as I see Jay or speak to Jay, but yeah, he and I do speak.
When you look back on your childhood, like, this is your childhood friend, right? And you look at, you know, all of your relationship with Dame over all of these years. If you could help Dame in some way right now, right? What would you say to him?
I don't know if I could help him or even if he needs help.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if that's the case, if that came to me, you know, it's whatever he needs.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's your brother.
Yeah, of course. Definitely.
So you also, I think you told me you're working on some movies?
Yeah, well, I got 2 movies that's coming out on the 23rd. So the OG, and it's A Hard Truth, Ain't It? Which is a documentary, and OG is a narrative. So HBO picked up both films. That's coming out Saturday.
Oh, nice.
Wait, see, yo, when you interview
This is
Biggs,
tight.
it's like, it's not, yeah,
No, it's
no, I
coming
got
out
2
on
films on
HBO.
HBO. It's whatever, man. You know what I mean? It's whatever.
What are the films about?
OG is starring Jeffrey Wright, who plays a guy who's been in prison for 30 years.
I love Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's one of the best actors of our time. You know, was
Westworld, all that.
course,
He's been
yeah.
crushing it.
you know,
Boardwalk
Al
Empire.
Pacino's and things in the past, but right now it's Jeffrey Wright's turn. Being in jail for 30 years and he's getting out. So now he's institutionalized and scared to get out and face what's outside. And at the same time, he's going through that cerebral challenge of dodging the traps inside prison and things that might keep him there for another 30 and 40 years. And then it's also about the restorative process of him being sorry for his crimes, you know, and what he did. And a lot of people think most times that it's about the victim, but I think it's about equalizing the plane. So it's more for the victim and the guy who, you know, did whatever crime it is to release that burden and actually say, I'm sorry, and, you know, and vocalize that and try to get over that. So they're not wearing that burden on them for so long, you know.
And it's called OG.
Yeah, OG.
And you know, prison reform is a very popular, it's become a mainstream conversation,
Yeah.
which I'm happy, but I just I use that. Laura gets mad at me because oftentimes I'll be like, yo, activism's in style. She'll be like, that's not the way you're supposed to say it, but
No,
It is.
Yes, yeah.
and that's a good thing.
No, I can see what you're saying about it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now it's comfortable. It's a comfortable place
Yeah.
for people to get involved, and people
Yeah.
can see there's many different things going on, and they can also wrap their brain around all the work that we have to
Well, it's
do.
easier too.
Right.
I
It's
mean-
not a scary place. Look, man, I've been on this radio a long time talking about corrupt cops,
Yeah.
talking about racism and white supremacy. It was uncomfortable for a long time
Yeah.
talking about, you know, Islamophobia post 9/11, you know, taking death threats. I've been doing this a long time. And now when you have the convo, people ain't looking at you like you're just
Crazy.
speaking in a foreign language.
Yeah, definitely. Guys like Jay and Meek Mill leading the Reform Charge, with that new nonprofit that he has, I think is great. For people that look like us to be leading the charge, especially the younger kids, that can speak to an audience and then make them aware about what's going on right now. So,
And even access to money,
yeah.
because that's the other part, right?
It helps to have 5 billionaires backing you.
Yeah, and education too, because I feel like now when they see faces like Meek and Jay speaking about prison reform, I think the youth wants to get more involved in knowing the rights, like just basic things that they never thought about before.
Yeah, and people can relate when it's when people went through these extenuating circumstances like Meek, right? So he's not talking about it from a place of this is what's happening. He's talking about this happened to me,
Right.
and this can happen to you.
Well, even
So it's
yourself,
different.
right? You did 5 years.
Yeah, I went deep undercover because I wanted to find out what was happening in the prison system. So,
It was you were doing, you know what I mean? Doing research. Your research
Investigative
game.
that's what the OG in these documentaries coming out.
Yeah.
Because I had to find out firsthand. A lot of people thought I was crazy.
Yeah. But now, but in some ways, you do know it
definitely
was
know-
research,
no,
and you were lucky to come out on the other side.
Yes. And that's why I can speak to it from firsthand and know what these guys go through, right? Some people that's innocent. You think about that. Khalif Browder is a perfect example of, things that's happening to these kids. Not being able to get bailed out, actually, and at the end, killing himself, you know what I'm saying? So that's a place we never want to go. And even from a result of that, you got Blasio talking about he wants to close Rikers Island because of the show. So there are things that's being done that's having a powerful impact. And we don't know what the snowball effect is going to be from that as of now, but we hope that it continues on that path.
Recreational marijuana, right? When you, speaking of doing firsthand research, right? Your charges was tied to marijuana.
Yeah.
Now you see legalization is a popular conversation, even though the federal government hasn't all the way got there yet, but at many states, it's becoming legal. Do you, in retrospect, you look back on this like this, I gave 5 minutes of my life to a federal crime, and now here we are. Do you work towards expunging your record? Do you get to even?
I can't expunge my record because it was a federal charge. So until it gets something changes on a federal level, or if it gets decriminalized or taken out of a Schedule 1, which it still is, I don't know if people know that
It's up there with heroin and everything else.
and crack and cocaine is Schedule 2.
Wait. So powder cocaine is Schedule 2 because that's white people drugs.
Yeah.
And anything that affected the black community is on Schedule 1.
Yeah, heroin, crack, and and marijuana.
Well, now heroin is,
I don't know. It still feels funny saying marijuana. Weed. Marijuana. Cannabis.
So yeah, you can't even be a part of that until it's
The business, And I mean, not to say I can't, but I'll just be taking a chance
right.
that I don't want to take.
We have no need to do that. We got movies coming out.
He says, stay away from that. We got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
It's a bad time.
It's a bad
time.
Let's not play around.
We got projects, we got movies, we good.
Yeah.
Not today.
Good. Not
Another
today.
day like today, but not today.
Now you already St. John. You had some successful tours out here. You going back out on tour?
Yeah. We were just we pushed our European tour back. So I've done a couple world tours of my own. So people that are just getting to know me. I wasn't born yesterday. Like I've been moving.
You kind of popping. And that's interesting now, right, Laura? We see so many artists that are popping from our city, right? Not getting big radio play yet, not even tripping on it. If radio comes around, clubs come around, they're going to come around. But you already created a whole lane for yourself and a whole business.
Yeah. I mean, the internet is the world, right?
Yeah.
That's where all of us live.
Mm-hmm.
I can go sell out a tour, and we were doing dates in Egypt. I'm worth thousands of tickets in Egypt and thousands of tickets in Moscow, and that's strange. And I just put my foot on that soil for the first time. But the internet allows that.
Absolutely.
That's the magic of right now. Like, you don't got to know, but subculture is prevalent. You could be hot in your pocket anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Somebody just on fire that you're like, who?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's beautiful how artists now can just take advantage of their free platforms that are available to them and just put their art out there.
Yeah, it's a great time. It's a great time to be an independent artist. It's a great time to have a good idea.
What would be your advice? Because there's people who are learning about you right now. There's people who have known about you for a couple years now. for an independent artist right now, you got any advice?
Yeah, if you don't really want to do this, don't do this. There's other ways to chase it back. If this is what you sincerely desire, it requires time, effort, and patience. You're on your own shot clock. Mm-hmm. Most people aren't willing to they're not really willing to put the time in. How many people are willing to do a decade internship until you make your first dollar? Yeah,
most people want it to be.
Not very many. But that's what it takes to be something that's supposed to be magical, right? All your favorite anything, most of it didn't happen overnight. Most of it was a really long, slow walk.
And even for that, for you, Biggs, right? Like, and Hove and Dame, you know, y'all been making money since y'all was 20, 22, 26. Jay put out his first album. You was, what, 24 at the time?
I think 26.
You were 26 also?
No, Jay. No, I was 22.
You were 22, Jay was 26.
Yeah, I'm the youngest out of them.
You're the youngest. So even then, now, that's how long ago? 1996. What are you talking? Almost 30 years?
Yeah. I mean, 20.
20?
Yeah, damn. I just was like,
was it 23?
23.
I had to check on my grades again.
Nah, 23 years. 20, but still, it's almost 25 years.
Yeah.
It's still, but
22.
But you're starting new businesses almost 25 years later.
Yeah.
What does that say about entrepreneurialism and the importance of developing like sustaining a business model?
And we built a strong brand. So somebody asked me about that the other day. Do you think it'd be another Rockefeller? And then it's, QP and
QC.
Q.
Quality control.
Yeah, quality control. But I was saying, I meant P and
P
and Coach. Shout out to them, Lil Baby, and High Bridge, the label. Like there's some young guys that's coming up in TDE as well. But what we did was build things outside of music, and a lot of people haven't done that. You know what I'm saying? Bad Boy being one of them. But we built so many businesses. I think people know us for the music, but more or less know us for everything that we did under the umbrella. And I think that's what made it more attractive.
I'm bringing up the Rockefeller family tree.
Yeah.
Rockefeller Records, which this was published in a magazine recently.
And Forbes.
Was that Forbes?
Yeah. That was something that I did too, by the way.
The whole
the family tree, yeah.
Now, question. What is your favorite business that you started or y'all started that was part of the family tree? Your favorite business that failed?
Block Savvy.
Savvy.
Yeah, social network.
Tell me about that.
This was in 2005. So MySpace just sold for $580 million, and Facebook had about 30,000 people. Ooh. And remember, it was Black Planet and a few others.
Right.
So we had Block Savvy. We created, and it was all it was based on these rooms, and then people got Savvy dollars to join, and we scraped Amazon, and you would shop and then put all the stuff in your room and connect you with different people. We had Kevin Hart doing comedy in the rooms and rappers, you know what I'm saying?
Early Kevin Hart.
Early on, yeah. So that was something. We ended up making a few $1 million from it.
Oh, you ended up selling it? So it wasn't a failure, it just didn't blow?
The point was to make $1 billion from that. So, but I had partners that I didn't particularly want to be in business anymore, so we kind of let it dissolve.
What is a business you thought was gonna blow up?
Probably between that and Armadale.
Armadale,
yeah,
original.
Yeah,
vodka.
And then we had a sporting agency too back in '97.
Really?
Yeah. So like everything that's happening right now is just being replicated. So
right, because you did it and hit a brick wall, and then
I started the sporting agency.
Yeah, you had boxers. I remember. Didn't you guys have Gary?
Yeah, but we also had some NBA players and I think 1 or 2 football players as well.
I remember that.
Yeah, so it was Rockefeller Sports. Now it's Rock Nation Sports.
And that goes back to what you said earlier in the conversation.
Now it's Deuce, Ace, and then Dame has Dusko, whiskey, and his wine.
What you said earlier in the conversation, which is
Block Savvy, now it's Title.
Right. Which is, if you can't open the door, you go make your own door.
Yeah.
So, salute to you, sir.
Thank you, fam.
Do you ever do you mentor people? Do you can people access you, or do you ever sit on panels and talk? And
I do sit on panels and talk, but I mentor a few, like QP at High Bridge label. So him and A Boogie, I give them a lot of advice. There's people that come to me all the time, and I just give advice away for free because people ask to pay for this. Like, yo, how much you charge for your time? I'm like, you probably couldn't afford that, But yeah, I give advice away for free. But those guys I particularly took a liking into.
And as a black man and an entrepreneur in America, right? You know, you I'm sure have run into a lot of racism and white supremacy, but your blinders, it feels like, have always been off to that.
I haven't really run into it on a person. Like, I haven't felt the brunt of that. I mean, we just talked about it, other than in Paris recently, last year, when he didn't want to let me in the restaurant. But not there. I can't say that over the years, like something specifically. I mean, more likely with the yellow cabs. That's what you feel it like every day, trying to get in a cab, and they look at you and then pull over and then take the person right in front of you. You know,
because that still happens today.
All day, yeah.
Which is why Uber blew up. And if I remember the first time I heard about Uber, I was like, yo, fuck a yellow cab.
Yeah.
Same.
But nobody ever, you know, business-wise, anything like that, where it was such blatant, you know, racism that I felt that I had to address.
And do you feel like some of that was also because you came to the game, you already was making some money. You came to the game with money, and it was about money.
Yeah. And I was very confident because I had so much coming into the game, yeah. So I looked down on everybody.
You come from a disruptive space, so you wouldn't have even noticed it.
No.
Like, you come from a we'll build it ourselves ideology, right?
Yeah.
So racism on like a data on a
because if you're not going through the institutions and you're not dealing with, you're not talking to those people.
You get to circumvent it. You sort of get to go around it. Not saying you don't get to feel it, but it's not directly in your face. A few steps away on your peripheral.
Now, you got a new single, speaking of racism. What's the name? What's the title?
Trap.
No, you got another song.
White parents are going to hate this. I'm tripping.
Your white parents are going to hate this.
Yeah, it's called White Parents Are Going to Hate This.
Now, what exactly are white parents going to hate?
It's the energy of the record. The record has so much angst and a certain degree of animosity. And I figure, listen, the song said, you know, I'm talking about how much drugs can you take on a record. Like, that's the first thing that you hear. So if like my 9-year-old was listening to that, my little 9-year-old Charlie, I walked in, I'd beat the fuck. Like, I can't curse, so I'd beat him up, though.
Yeah.
I'd have to punish my child. Like, you shouldn't be listening to Saint. This crazy.
Well, I thought it was, you know, you being a black man, a 6'4" black man, however tall you are, on stage with your abs out. I saw you at, what festival was you at last year?
Rolling Loud, right?
Rolling Loud, and the whole crowd seemed like white kids.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a few.
I thought that's what you was talking about.
Nah, it's me. For me, it's the energy. Because I like conversations, right? I like when titles give you a feeling or an emotion or something you can latch on to where you can start your own dialogue. When you hear the record, you get the perspective I'm coming from. And I never tell you what you should feel about a song. That's just my intention. I shouldn't have corrected you. Because what you feel is correct.
Well, that was my interpretation.
I like the interpretation.
But you also challenge religion in your imagery, too.
Yeah. I challenge the idea of it. Because
the name St. John, you have, I think your merch is has a cross on it, right?
Yes, and it's called Christian Sex Club.
Yeah, Christian Sex Club.
St. John is his real name.
Yeah, that's my real name.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Haitian?
No, I'm Guyanese.
Guyanese.
Yeah. My mom named me St. John. I don't know why she thought that was cool. It worked out.
It's dope. It works out.
Rough start, but we look at us now, Ma.
Yo, what record should we play right now?
I don't know. You call it.
Trap. Let's go right into something new.
When did this drop?
I don't even think it dropped. I think you just got it.
Wait, this never been played before?
Exclusive.
Let's go. Let's play it right now.
Lit.
I didn't, you know. Let's
got
go.
Just like him, right?
I trap.
That's it. That's it.
I ain't even heard the record yet.
That's it. You ain't hear it?
No, I ain't heard it.
It's me and Lil Baby.
Oh, you trying to get popping.
I just want to make good music.
Yeah, all right. Let's go. St. John, Lil Baby, man. So first, this is an exclusive. I don't think does anybody have this? It's not on streaming services?
Not on streaming services, nowhere.
How do you feel about that? How people change their album even when they put it out?
I think it's a fantastic thing if it makes it better. I think you give anybody too many resources, and depending on who the character you give it to, they'll do too many things with it. You ever see that meme where the ladders are stacked up against the wall as opposed to just putting the ladder against the wall? You ever see that?
Yeah.
No. There's a meme. It's like 80 ladders piled on one top of each other. This guy's trying to get it over the wall. Instead of leaning the ladder against the wall and climbing up one, he piles them and stands on top of them, and he still can't reach. So you give anyone too many resources, or you give someone not enough, and it depends on their characteristics.
Yeah, I guess. As a consumer, sometimes it's annoying, because what if I fall in love with a particular, you know what I mean, a lyric or something that really touched me, and then you go ahead and tweak it. I'm like, that's why I loved it.
I get it. It's a different time though, right?
Yeah.
Just like, because you can get songs in real time now. You like that, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, then it's the downside.
That happened to us a lot in the studio. Jay would do songs, and then a beat change or something like that, and it's like you feel like you lost the feeling because you done heard it 100 times.
Of course.
And in the mix, it comes back. You like,
This ain't it.
what happened to that snare and them drums?
When do your films premiere on HBO?
The 23rd.
Both of them.
You got IG.
Yeah.
What was
you
the
got
second
IG
one? You didn't talk
trailers?
about the second one.
It's a Hard Truth, ain't it? That's the name of it.
Okay, and what's that about?
That's a documentary from the inmates' perspective, and they're interviewing each other, talking about their life and what went wrong, and what got them into prison.
So it's conversations between each other.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And they're actually interviewing each other. So
That's a cool.
Yeah. So instead of somebody else, where they're probably a little bit reluctant to be vulnerable with each other, they're telling everything. And one of the things about this movie is 150 inmates playing in this movie. That's never been done before. So this is in prison where 150 inmates are actually in the movie. So the co-star of the movie is an inmate. So can you imagine Jeffrey Wright getting Best Actor and the supporting actor being an inmate? This has never happened. So you got Jeffrey Wright playing an inmate with inmates. So that was challenging for him.
Well, and how did you get the participation? How did
it was up to the warden. So it was a certain prison. You got to go. Those are the CEOs of their business, their system. So this particular warden let the crew in to do this movie.
That's dope. Yeah. Let's go, man. It's Hot 97.
Ebro.